Welcome back to the Sledgehammer's Edge Impact. Today I have an amazing friend, a friend I've known for the last couple of decades, a woman entrepreneur extraordinary, someone who has the wherewithal to take on any kind of competition, even if it is gender inequality, and turn a venture into an absolutely amazing success story. It can only be Tejo Turner, or T for me. T is a person who knows over 10 languages, has traveled the world, and has empowered people in almost every level of society in one of the most wondrous ways. Come on, let's go. Step on over and meet up with the one and only Tejo Turner. Hello, Tejo Turner. Of course, for me, always T. Right? We've ridden the crest for so many years together as friends, as colleagues, and I must admit, you've always been that Wonder Woman I have admired from the first day I met you, T. And T, this is your story, your show. Tell us all about you and everything that can inspire us to probably try and walk in your shoes.
Thank you, Anand, and to me always, eh? Thank you for having me here. And wow, so let me just begin by telling you, I could never see the world the way other people did. Just never could. It wasn't in me. One, I wasn't supposed to be born at all. My mom
Okay.
she was pregnant with me till she went for an operation for a retroverted uterus. And lo and behold, the doctor says, you're pregnant. So I was quite determined to make my mark in this world. And they took me out, head first feet first. So maybe that explains it all. When I was in nursery, I colored my cat purple.
You colored your cat purple?
That's right. And it had its back turned to the world.
Okay.
But that's what actually called. They said, Mr. and Mrs. Rao, we've given everyone brown and black. One, please tell us where she got this purple from. And what kind of a cat is this? It has no eyes, no whiskers.
All right.
But I think, that just portended what was to come. So from then on, I kept trying to fit in, but I just couldn't.
No, but then let me take you on this. Why did you color that cat purple? I mean, I'm sure all of us like to know that.
Now I'm trying to rack my brains, and as you know, that my memory has always been useless, and age hasn't improved it one bit. So I'm trying to roll back the years. I do not know where I got that purple from.
All right.
In my head, that was a cat. And maybe from then on, I've been turning my back to the world and saying, hey, I'm looking in the opposite direction. The rest of you look this way if you want.
All right. Okay. That's some explanation. Right. So let's take it on after that. Yeah.
Yeah. And since then, I've never been able to see things the way other people saw things, So and I remember when I was very young, I kept getting into trouble with the teachers for things that in my head was normal. For instance, I decided to leave the class one day because I belonged to a generation where it was okay to give the child a small little whack if she hadn't done something.
Right.
And of course, I hadn't done most things. And of course, I got that whack. And so I was very annoyed that day. And to work out my anger, I went to watch this basketball match between the 11s and the 12s.
All right.
Parted all the legs, watched the match, didn't understand basketball, but my anger was worked out. And I come back to class to find there is more chaos than when I left. Because from the school's point of view, there was this little girl who'd come into school and now she's no longer here. Well, hey, I was just annoyed. And then the teacher asks me the most irrational question, which is, why didn't you tell us before going? No, the reason I left, I say. So you see, and it was during the end of my fourth standard when we said we'll have a class picnic, right? So each one of us had to get something. And I brought these 2 packets of chips. And suddenly the class monitor comes and says, Tejo, could you please not come for this picnic? Because the rest of them say they will not come if you come.
All
I
right.
think they were afraid of the contagion called Trouble Tejo. By association.
So I guess this kind of sums up what your childhood has been and what your levels of being a juvenile image would have been, right? But tell us something, Tej, when did you finally get serious in life and the kind of work that you're doing today?
Right. So, I'll tell you why I brought up that incident, because it
Right.
wasn't a sad story. That was then. That was the point at which I decided I am not going to distend and contort myself to fit somebody else's definition of who they think I ought to be.
Right. Right.
Yeah, at the age of
Right.
around 8, I said, this is me.
Wow, that's awesome.
Unapologetically who I am. And then I started to revel in it. Yes, of course, sometimes I thumb my nose at the world. Love that. That rebel in me just never dies.
Yes.
And from then on, there was never and there still isn't a plan B in my head, A. You know, because one only has a plan B if you think your plan A is going to fail. And in my head, that's it. I've got it all figured out. Why should I have a plan B?
Yeah. In fact, I love what you just said. I just love what you just said, T, because I personally don't believe in Plan B, because
Yes.
I think Plan B is very escapist. Just in
Yes.
case A doesn't work. Why shouldn't A not work?
Yes.
So the moment I create a Plan B, I've lost half the battle where A is concerned. So
Absolutely.
I can well understand, and I think one of the most important aspects of certain success stories in my life is because I never had a plan B. So my entire energy, force, thinking, analysis, whatever you call it, was just walking to plan A, nothing else, right?
Absolutely. And it's plan A. And they keep saying, so what happens if plan A doesn't work? Well, I form another plan A. It's never a plan B.
Yes. And you form another plan A at that time.
Yes.
At that moment.
Exactly.
Because the way I look at it, if I had to create a plan A and create plan B side by side, plan B becomes much of the past while I'm working on plan A.
Yes.
Whereas if I have to create a quick new plan, if I create a quick new plan, if plan A wasn't working, it will be real time that time, not something out in the past.
There's a reason you and me are such good friends, eh?
Yes, T, that's
so
true.
many levels, yes.
Yes. Right, T. And then, now, how did you get into what you're doing today? I'm dying to ask that question.
Yes. So then it began with being unapologetically me.
Right.
And refusing to really having to discuss, debate, or even, tell them, give them a why. This is the way I think. And then this was fueled by a huge curiosity about people.
Right.
I am passionate about them. I'm curious about what makes us tick. So then the natural course for me was to look at language. Why? Because I think that is a very currency in which we think, behave, react, and then act. Right? So if nobody is saying anything to you, you're saying things to yourself. Not very kind things. But again, you're saying it in a certain language, yes? So then I became extremely curious about what is this language? How are we communicating, not just with each other, but with ourselves? What are we saying? And how are we saying it? So then I got into learning one language after the other. I speak around 10 around there.
My God. All right. Jeez. Okay. Which are the 10 languages you know, T?
So French, Spanish, Italian, German, Sanskrit, Telugu, Tamil, Kannada, Hindi, English. Is that
Uh,
around 10?
well, that's more than I can
And
count. That's more than I can count, actually. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Stan Bengali and Malayalam,
All right.
first cousins, the same, right? So Spanish and Italian are first cousins of French. Since
Oh,
I've done my
French.
master's of
Okay.
French, yes. They're
Oh,
very, very similar.
I
And
see.
German, just
Right.
because I love German. I just love that language.
Right.
So then I said, okay, so what are people in India saying? And then how do people from other countries communicate? What are they saying? Not just with words, but otherwise.
Right.
Right? So then I got to exploring, training people in other countries. Not really training, I would say facilitating.
All right.
Yeah. I don't like to be a sage on the stage, Anand. I'd rather be a guide by your side. So,
Yes. 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 All right.
so there I went, wandering around. But I think at the core of it, I'm just a huge experience seeker. Hey, I just love every new experience that comes my way. It just enriches my soul. Every person I meet, every new experience I have, and I listen and I learn. And every time I facilitate, I grow. So perhaps the intention is very selfish.
Yes. But I like what you said, you're always experiencing, you're always seeking. And I think the most powerful thing in the soul of a teacher is the seeker. Because the more the teacher seeks, I once long time back I read a saying which said teachers like a river. It's
Yeah.
full of it's got an enormous amount of knowledge, experiences, and wisdom. And a seeker walks up to the river and decides whether, and it's up to the seeker to decide whether it wants a sip, a cupful, or entire truckload. But I think the most important part actually was not so much that seeker, but the teacher who has that seeker alive within himself or herself. That is what enriches the river, not just the knowledge and the and the experiences and the wisdom, but the very desire, the thirst to keep seeking and enriching those three aspects within the river itself. So I think that's amazing when you say that. And I don't think I haven't come across a lot of people who say what you just said, that you're always searching for new experiences.
Yes.
Oh,
And I love that analogy, Anand, because the river just keeps flowing on.
yeah,
So
yeah.
no moment, from one moment to another, it's already changed. So there are
Yes,
always new experiences, and
yes,
no two people are alike, no two experiences are alike.
yes,
And
yes.
that's just beautiful.
Yes. In fact, one of the things that I tell my mentees, especially those based out of the US and the countries that have not understood the Indian philosophy of life, I said, look, Western science to me is always appealed as something that's very, very experimental, whereas
Yeah,
the Indian sciences are extremely experiential,
absolutely true. I
extremely
couldn't agree
experiential.
more.
Yeah.
Yes,
So unless you don't experience it, as you say, there is nothing that you learn, gain, or acquire.
yes,
Nothing can really be, theory, then motion, then theory, motion into practicality, and then a QED. I mean, it makes no sense to me, right? It's all about experiencing every moment of whatever you're seeking for, and then enjoying the
exactly.
learnings out of that.
And each experience is so unique. The
Yes,
experience of joy, sorrow, and
yeah,
the gamut in between,
yes,
just
absolutely.
unique to you.
Yeah,
Even if two people have experienced, say, the death of the same member of the family, you
yes,
see people reacting differently to that very emotion.
yes, yes,
So, how unique and wonderful are we? Each and
absolutely.
every one of us.
Absolutely, absolutely. So how do you take all this amazing experiences and analysis of all experiences to your work? How that's something I would love to hear you relate.
Yes. So I work as a French interpreter too,
All
and I
right.
work with the German consulate. And I love to see the interplay of cultures, you know. So, for instance, Germans do not understand a power car. What? This is an industrial area. So when is the power going to come back on? When is electricity? I don't know. What are we going to do then? Well, we shall wait. And then, they're flummoxed. And to get them to understand and to be instrumental, I think mainly it is to help to be a bridge so people can reach themselves,
Yes.
whether
Yes.
it is across
Yes.
the world. So I do a whole lot of corporate facilitation and I do experiential outbound training programs.
All right.
I work
Okay.
as a therapist
Right.
and yeah, and then I teach French. So they're just various experiences. But at the end of the day, if I can just be a bridge so you can reach you and revel in you, oh, I glory in that.
How true. How true. In fact, I don't know whether you caught my latest quote on social media when I said that, when you, well, I'm just saying it not exactly as I put it, but when
Right.
you walk somebody else's path, you stray away from the one that you were destined to be on, the one that is you, and the one that actually takes you to your purpose of life.
Absolutely.
And
And
and,
that
and yes,
has to be as defined by each one of us. It really
yeah,
has to be. Otherwise, you're living somebody else's truth. And you keep living it for so long. And then by the time you turn around and say, hey, what happened to my truth and my life? Your
yeah.
physical body, maybe at the end of its tenure.
Yeah, that's true. T, could you tell us a couple of instances in your life which were really an eye opener for you and sort of changed the entire trajectory of the way that you were existing?
Yes. So, I was saying that I'm very influenced by this one line that says, every form of refuge has its price.
Right.
This is a
Okay.
song by the Eagles called The Lying Eyes. This is a line from that song. And why do I like that? Because no matter what you choose, three things can happen, right? We do some amount of predictive analysis and say, okay, this is where I want to head, and this might happen. So, three things can happen. One, it happens exactly as you wanted it to. Two, it doesn't,
Right.
right? Or
Right.
three, you don't
Right.
know the consequences.
Right.
So now what happens is when people don't get the result that they think they will or should or ought or are entitled to get, there is this sense of, oh my Lord, the world is not treating me right. I deserve better. But according to whom? The world owes you nothing. It was here first.
Very true.
And
Very
then at
true.
that point, I think there are two things that you can do. One, you change what you can and you accept what you can't. Right? It is
Right.
the in
Right.
between
You
that
you you
leads you
you
to.
change what you can and you accept what you can't. Wow, that sounds really, really good. Okay.
It's very similar to the Alcoholic Anonymous motto. I mean, I know this from a distance, just as a disclaimer. I was never a
Right.
part of it.
All right. All right.
No, but it's the in between, it's the gray. Wanting to change something, is not changing it, it's still accepting it. Like acrobats in a circus, we are
Yes.
hanging from one bar. We're saying, I want to go there. But how? You need to let go of something to go anywhere.
Right. Absolutely. Yes.
So if you want to change it, change it. Otherwise, you'll keep on wanting and stay stuck in the wanting.
Right.
So these are some things that have really, really influenced the trajectory of my mental journey, emotional
Yeah.
journey, and physical journey.
Wow. And do you then relate this to everyone you connect with in your workshops, on the tours that you keep taking across the
Absolutely.
world?
Absolutely. Because you look at an audience, whether it be an audience of 4 or an audience of 1,000, and you say, hey, I'm there to deliver, and I try to ensure that my message is received as I meant it to be received. And if it doesn't, I know I've done my best. I know that. And then I know that I cannot change the rest.
Right.
Inside you, there is a meter that says, hey, this is how much you can do, and this is what you need to accept.
True. True.
But
Very
with
true.
that as my philosophy, I'd love to think I reach souls across. That is my intention. That is my intention.
All right. All right. Now, when you obviously with these years experience that you've got, and presently you're sitting in Goa trying to reponder on everything that's been happening in your life, and probably trying to work on your trajectories. And knowing you, you're one of those people who can never stay away from anything for too long, or want to give your best back to the world the way you've always wanted to. What would be one of those moments in your life which you feel could possibly create better versions of people connecting with you?
You know, when I first began, when I wore my psychologist hat,
Right.
I lost someone, and I really thought I could influence this person.
Right.
And I lost him to suicide.
Oh my gosh. All right.
Yes, it was nothing that I could help. But that was a real eye-opener. To realize that no matter what you do, you don't control too much. You control your world. That's just about it.
That's just about it, yes.
That's just about it. And you make peace with that and you move on.
Yes.
That is something that I learned pretty early in life. And second, I was one of those few women in a men's world doing it, and to a point where the driver would call me sir, madam. He kept looking at me and saying, yes, sir. I said, but from which angle do I look like a sir to you? So finally, we reached a compromise where he said he'd call me sir, madam. All right, works fine. So sir, madam, it was. But I'm telling you, so that was another eye-opener. If people, right, are underestimating you, there's no greater advantage you will have.
Oh, okay. How's that, T? If somebody's underestimating you, how does that become an advantage? This even I got to learn from you.
As I said, you cannot change other people's opinion of you.
Right.
So let them keep it, and then slam them with success when they least expect it.
All right. Okay. That's a great tip off. That's a great tip off, right? That's a great tip off.
It takes some years to recover.
And I can well imagine if you doing the slamming. Good Lord. Have I not seen that before in the past for your concern? Oh, of course I have. All right. Now, T, you've had an amazing life. I mean, as you know, as a mother, as a wife, as a professional, and you've really handled all the three. I mean, it's not been hunky dory all the way, because knowing you and knowing the way you interact people and how you expect people to interact with you. The question here is, how did you manage to keep a wonderful work-life balance with everything around you and the kind of work you do, which requires an enormous amount of dedication?
Yes. So, I really think that my biggest opportunity, and at that time I didn't see it as an opportunity, was when I left the corporate world to do things on my own. Because then, as hard as that may be in the beginning, it may not be financially very, very lucrative till you build a name for yourself.
Yes.
Realize that then you choose. The choice is yours. You want to spend this much time with your family, you do so. Here I am on a working day. It is a working day, isn't it? I'm living in a time warp.
Right.
Well, and the rest of the So you choose what you want to choose. You look at the kind of person you are and what works for you.
Right.
And being a freelance consultant was the best thing that I could have done, because then I choose. If it is work, it's work. If it's family, it's family. And there we go.
Wow. Yeah, that's actually one of the greatest advantages of being of cruising all by yourself, because
Yes.
you're not time bound, and yet you are time framed.
Yes.
You may be time
absolutely.
bound, but you have time frames for almost everything you do. That doesn't necessarily have to time bound you. You
Yeah.
have the liberty to switch those time frames. Whereas if
Yes.
you're working in an organization, you just can't do that. That's almost
That's
impossible. They're both,
absolutely right.
yeah. There's like, 'cause I've been there too for 4 decades, so I know it's like you're time bound and you're time framed. There's no question anything else, right? It's like a stamp on you. The moment you walk in and you sign and say, "I'm here,"
Yes.
they are gone. Everybody out there, from the people you work with, you, the people who work above you, your reporting authority, and everyone knows you're there.
That's right.
That's
That's
it, right?
yeah.
And the entire 8, 9, 10, 12, 14 hours, just
Whatever it takes.
disappears. Yeah, whatever it takes, whatever it takes. But I think as an entrepreneur, you can really ease out. Of course, it's 24/7. Work is 24/7, but
Yes.
it's not demand on call or call on demand, whichever one you look at it. It really is all about getting the right. It's quality work actually.
Yes.
The
And
difference
it's a
between
choice you make. Yes.
yes,
And it's a choice and no one's holding a gun to your head. So
no
when
one's
you make
holding gun. Yeah,
a
that's right.
choice,
That
then
that's
you're
where that, that's where
100%
that's
accountable.
where the
You've made
quality
it out
comes
your
from.
own free will. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. T, one of the things that I do keep coming across as someone who promotes women entrepreneurs in our country and across the world uh, is I've noticed that women entrepreneurs have a larger struggle than male entrepreneurs in various angles, especially on gender inequalities.
Yes.
Um, what are the challenges that you faced as a woman entrepreneur?
One is that it begins with you, because I needed to have that clarity, and then you keep doubting yourself. Can I do this? Will I be able to succeed? If I don't succeed, then what happens? Should I sell myself
Right,
short? So once you have that clear, because most of the struggles I think are internal, and once you're out there, I would like to think it's a pretty level playing field. It is, because there are a lot of people who do things for you, but are you sure this is the path? And whether it be a male or a female entrepreneur, the journey is not likely to be easy.
right.
Journey inwards is the one needs to take before you go out there.
Oh, yes, that's a wonderful thing you said. Yes,
Yeah.
very true.
And I think
Very
once
true.
that's clear, then I think the rest falls into place. It does, Anand. It does.
Yes, yes. In fact, I just love what you said because there was this lady I was once speaking to quite a while ago, and she says that one of the ways she handles all external pressures is to be within herself all the time.
Yeah.
Because she says within yourself, you are surrounded with all the powers of the universe that
Yes.
needs you, or
Yeah.
you need to
Yeah.
be able to handle everything that's outside. Because outside is not in your control. But
Yes.
inside, you're very much in control because that's your inner being. And
Absolutely.
she says that is one of the strengths
Yeah.
of her entire entrepreneurial world that she exists in, that she's able to speak from within, not based on what's happening outside. And I
Right.
just love what he said. I just
So
love what he said.
finally, this is what I'd like to loop it back to. You know what I said about accepting what you cannot change and changing what you can and accepting what you can't. And
Yes,
that conversation, I think, needs to happen on the inside. And then there's tremendous strength there and clarity. But that's not something that anybody else on the outside can give you.
that's true. That's very true. It's like, I keep saying, within you, there are so many experiences,
Yeah,
knowledge, and wisdom based on experiences. You'd be a fool to walk out and ask the world what to do.
absolutely.
Doesn't
Absolutely.
make any sense. Now, finally, T, before we wrap it all up,
Yeah.
I'd like you to talk about something really inspirational for all our viewers there who would love to get into your shoes. Couple of incidents in your life which has inspired you, and I'm sure will inspire all of us
Yeah.
listening to you.
It's always those who you least expect who can give you the most. So I think if you can keep yourself open to all kinds of people, there have been
Wow.
many times when I've been traveling in an auto or a cab, and there are these pearls of wisdom that come my way or a different outlook.
Right. Right.
For example, the other day, this auto driver was telling me that, ma'am, how many degrees do you have? I said, yeah, a couple of masters, and I want to do my PhD. He said, ma'am, and in Hindi, he said, मैं एक बात बोलूं, भगवान ने दिया है ना, जो खोपड़ी दिया है ना और भेजा दिया है, इतना सा छोटा है, आप बहुत तकलीफ दे रहे हो उसको.
All right.
Yeah, and I'm
Right.
sure you'd put in your own loose translation, which is,
Yeah.
why are you troubling this head and the brain, which is
Yeah.
little, which is small? You're not doing it. I'm saying it just gives you perspective. So if you can just not shut yourself down to experiences or
Yeah.
redefine them,
Yeah.
then you stand to win and you stand to grow. And at the end of it, it's all about each one of us.
So you know,
Yes.
T, like I would say, and you know this. I've said this very often that what I have, my top floor here is absolutely empty, and people laugh and they say, "No, how could it possible? I mean, what you do and where you reached, this couldn't be empty." And I'm saying, actually, it is empty because I don't want my mind to be filled with garbage
Yeah.
from the past, right? So
Yeah.
I like to keep it clear. I journal very often. So
Yeah.
every night before I go to sleep, I'll write down everything that happened in my
Yes.
life, and then it's there. I take everything out from here, put it there, empty my mind out for new experiences. Because you
Right.
know, you need everything in life is an experience.
That's true.
It's not about storing tons and tons of knowledge. Tell me, what are you doing with all the knowledge you stored up in school time?
Nothing.
Nothing, absolutely nothing. What are we doing today? We're using every moment of experiences to empower, enhance everything around us.
That's true.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
T, it's been awesome having you on the
Guys,
Impact Show.
high
High
five.
five to you, and thank you so much for being here, T. And
Thank you for having me, Anand. Thank you.
T, and you take care. See you this weekend over a little bit of unbottled spirits.
Absolutely. I look forward to that. Yes.
Ciao for now, T. Ciao for now.
Ciao, ciao. Thank you. Bye.